Hello and welcome to the Joinery Business Podcast. Today on April 1st, April Fool's Day, I thought we'd do something a little bit different. Today Bruce and I will be talking about two movies that we forced each other to watch and share our thoughts and I guess review on them. This episode is meant to be intended a bit as an April Fool's joke and it probably won't be something we do again. Though, we are open to suggestions and if you do like the episode, let us know in the comments. The Joinery Business Podcast is sponsored by MaxCut Software. MaxCut is a small software business focusing on the cabinetry industry. Their main purpose and goal is to empower cabinet makers to estimate, cut, and complete cutless jobs more efficiently and easily without breaking the bank. Visit the MaxCut Software website linked in our description to try the free community edition of MaxCut Software to see what MaxCut can do for you. If you have any thoughts or want to discuss anything about today's episode, be sure to jump on over to the Joinery Business Hub on Facebook. Now, without further ado, let's jump into today's episode.
Welcome to the Joinery Business Podcast. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. Since it's the beginning of April, we thought we'd shoot a little podcast that goes in a slightly different direction than the typical podcast we normally do. Normally we're here talking about joinery and cabinet business related stuff and how to make a business successful, all that fun stuff. So Reilly and I thought we'd do something a little bit different today for the first time. This podcast is going to be the Reilly and Bruce
Movie Hour.
So what we've done is we've asked each of us, I've asked Reilly and he's asked me to watch a movie, some obscure movie to watch, and we're going to review that movie in this podcast. If any of you have watched either of these movies that we're reviewing in this podcast, put a comment or send us a message somewhere. If it's on YouTube, put a comment in the YouTube, the usual comment spot. So Reilly, what are the two movies that we're reviewing here today?
Well, first we're going to start with the movie I forced Bruce to watch just moments ago called Horse Sense. It's a Disney Channel original, also known as a dcom. And Bruce made me watch a movie called Where the Buffalo Roam, which is a Bill Murray comedy.
Yeah, if you could call it that.
If you could call it that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I think we'll start off with talking about Horse Sense, right?
Oh yeah, it was amazing, great movie.
you don't need to pretend.
Okay, where should we start with your review of this ripper of a movie?
This ripper. Well, I knew you like movies with horses.
Okay.
Because your favorite movie of all time is The Man from Snowy River, is it not?
No, but it's a good movie.
Yeah, the climax of that movie is a man riding a horse down a hill, and that's the penultimate moment of the movie, right?
Pretty amazing too.
Yeah, and so I figured we'd watch a movie centered around horses. Do you remember the plot? Can you tell me the plot of Horse Sense?
Okay, was there a plot in Horse Sense? Young spoiled rich kid has to learn how to, learn about life and how to be a good person. That's the plot.
Yeah, roughly. Yeah. What's that kid's name?
Richard.
Yeah, it was Michael.
Michael. Okay, there, like I say, his name was Michael.
What was the start of the movie? Give at least that.
The start of the movie is a young boy.
I've forgotten his name too, actually.
Yeah, what was his name?
What was his name? We just watched it and it's gone.
So the young kid's name was Tommy Biggs.
Tommy, that was it. Yeah.
Young Tommy.
Yeah.
Now, young Tommy has lost his dad and him and his mom now live on the ranch.
Yeah.
And they're having a hard time keeping the ranch because they're losing money.
Tommy has gone over to visit Michael at Michael's house in Beverly Hills.
Yeah, so Michael's his cousin.
Yeah, cousin.
Older cousin, and he idolizes his older cousin.
Yeah, it was because at a family reunion a few years ago, they had a really good time together.
Yeah.
But Tommy stays at Michael's mansion, and Michael says that we're going to have a really good time together.
Yeah, and lets him down. He just, the other things in life are far too important than his little cousin, and he just treats his little cousin really badly.
Yeah, he's got to hang out with his girlfriend, whose dad is a big movie producer.
He's all obsessed with his own life and everything.
What did you think going in? I told you you're going to watch a movie called Horse Sense. What was your thoughts on it? Your preconceptions.
So before the movie started?
Yeah.
I actually thought it was going to be a real movie. But as it
it's a real movie.
As it turns out, it's really just a bit of waffle.
Yeah.
Through the whole movie. Now, keep in mind, I knew it was a Disney movie, so really I knew this wasn't going to happen. But at some point, I thought it was going to turn and maybe be because knowing you, I thought there would be some sort of a twist somewhere where it actually turns into a horror film or something. That would have been good, right? That could have turned into some D-grade horror movie.
Yeah.
But it didn't. It just went like every Disney movie and ran its course.
Yeah. Well, I like it because we've been watching these DComs, and all of them are awful. They're all terrible movies, but this one I thought was actually really good. I was wondering what you would think of the whole kind of plot with like the tree house. Do you remember that whole plot line?
I remember the treehouse plotline. Yeah, that's the son and the dad were going to build the treehouse, got it half finished. Dad passed away, unfortunately, and couldn't get it finished. The kid wanted to finish it, couldn't finish it, and then Michael, the cousin, came in and tried to finish it for him, and the kid got upset because he wanted to use him and his dad's. Yeah,
there's little stuff like that in it. I think it hits an emotional beat that's much more effective than you'd think for a kid's movie. I think.
Yeah,
and all this stuff with like the horses, like it's not all green screen. It doesn't feel fake. You feel like they're actually on a ranch,
right,
taking care of horses and cattle and stuff.
Well, yeah, that's true. It had no CGI in it, that's for sure.
No, as far as you could tell. But yeah, would you believe this is one of the only Disney movies to like acknowledge religion in any way? In the beginning, they're out sitting on the patio, and they're looking at the sky, and he goes, "What are you looking at?" She goes, "God's painting again."
All right.
That's the only time a Disney movie has ever mentioned religion, really.
Is that right?
Yeah, or one of the only times anyway. Now, while we were watching the movie, you mentioned there was one scene where a character was showering, and you mentioned that the shower curtains are a personal hell of yours. Do you want to talk me through that?
Not really, no.
Is that too personal?
I just hate shower curtains, that's all.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Just shower curtains in general, or are there ones that are okay?
Well, imagine this. You're having a shower and the shower curtain starts wrapping around your legs, and then you fall over and the shower curtain comes down and you fall. It's just a bad situation.
So it's more hypothetically bad.
Oh, shower curtains touching your legs when you're having a shower.
That's
like
true.
It's just kind of gross.
Stick in a way.
It's just
unpleasant.
And they're not always clean, so you're trying to have a shower and the dirty shower curtains touching your legs. It's just not a good thing.
Yeah.
So moving on.
Did you have any like off the cuff thoughts? Like what was your purveying thought through the movie?
I found it interesting because sometimes you watch these old movies, not old, but oldish like this, and you expect to see at least one of the characters. There were maybe 5 or 6 sort of main characters. The whole thing. There was the father and the mother, Tommy's Tommy's mother, and you expect to see at least one of these characters be a well-known actor now. Not one of them, not one is anybody you would even know today.
No, it's true. And it's kind of odd to me because I didn't think anyone's acting was really that bad.
Yeah, it was average acting. Yeah, it wasn't terribly horrible, but
I really like the character Twister, the big gruff cowboy guy.
Yeah.
He was good. And
again, you kind of expected him to be somebody today you knew as turned into a pretty decent actor, but nope.
No.
Never seen him before.
The character Michael, I think, was quite effective in that at the start. He's a very disliked character.
Yeah.
But very effectively, like you as a viewer genuinely do not like him.
Generally didn't like him, that's true.
Sometimes these movies try to do that where you can tell. You're like, oh yeah, obviously he's a bad guy and he's going to turn good.
Yeah,
but he's presented in a way where you go, this guy actually sucks.
Yeah.
And by the end of the movie, has a quite effective turnaround.
He was a genuine jerk, that's true.
Yeah. But then that makes his kind of turnaround feel more genuine in a way. I feel like he's a very well acted character for just a kid's movie. But how did you feel about the movie essentially boiling down to, what was it, a land trust? Like, this is a children's movie.
Yeah.
Do Do you think children would understand what a land trust is?
Not a chance. No.
It's an odd thing to boil down to, hey?
It certainly got complicated in the end, where the land becomes a land trust for wild horses, and they can live on it, and they get the ranch back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he says you will get paid to live on the land now. Like, how would they have been getting? Would they have been getting paid before? How would that work?
It's a very good question, Riley.
I don't really know much about
I
cattle ranching. Do you?
I can't answer these questions. I'm unqualified. So that's pretty much the gamut of the questions of this Horse Sense movie. 1999 was when the movie was shot. So
it looks older than that. I think it looks like it's from like 87.
It does look like an 80s.
Yeah. I will zoom in on one bit, which is at the start. The very start of the movie, Michael gets woken up by an alarm. Their version, I guess, of a rich person's alarm clock, which is a zoomed-in photo of a woman's mouth saying, "Time to wake up. Yeah, it's 10:30."
Was it 10:30? Was it 12 or something like that?
Something like that, very late in the day.
Yeah.
I don't think that's ever existed.
It seemed odd to me, but I guess if you have enough money, you can kind of make anything, right?
You can make anything. Yeah. No, it's a good movie.
Yeah.
What would you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10?
What's the rating for exactly?
Well, 10 being the best movie ever.
Yep.
And 1 being awful.
I'd give it a 1.5. So it's
not
give
it
awful.
A 1.5.
Oh yeah, it was bad. It
wasn't that bad.
Oh, it was bad.
I can show you some of these other decoms, and I think you'll have to change your rating.
Well, you're asking me what I've seen and how I would rate it, and I have a high standard for movies. And that one was horrible.
You have a high standard for movies.
All right. Okay. So I'll give it a 3. How about that? It was.
All right.
It's no more than a 3. It was bad.
I'll cop a 3.
Yeah.
I would say it's like a 7 out of 10.
Oh,
that's where I would put it.
Wow.
Personally.
There's a lot. Okay.
So we'll now move on, I guess, to the movie you made me watch.
Yes.
There's a common theme here where I feel like both of us had the experience of watching the movie and thinking to ourselves, why did Bruce make me watch this? Right? Or why did Reilly make me watch this?
So going into this movie, what were you expecting? Like, what was your anticipation that this movie would be like?
Well, first you told me it's a Bill Murray comedy. So in my head, it was going to be like, what's it called? White Stripes? Stripes.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to kind of be like that.
Like a goofball.
Yeah.
Bill Murray type of movie.
It kind of isn't, because then when I looked it up and I saw that it was based off of Hunter S Thompson.
Yes.
Then I became very confused.
Yeah.
I've seen Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, also about Hunter S Thompson, but that's a very different movie, so I wasn't sure what to expect then. Like, I was completely thrown off. I wasn't sure if it was going to be a comedy based off of him or if it was going to be a more serious movie. Mm-hmm. But I don't really know what to make of it, to be honest.
Yes, good.
The kind of 80s comedy in its roughest sense. No, at the same time, there's not really any jokes.
Other than Bill Murray doing what Bill Murray does, which is a joke in itself.
Yeah, but he's kind of playing a character, which he doesn't usually play characters. He usually plays Bill Murray in all the movies he's in. This one's a rare case of him actually playing somebody. Do you know much about Hunter S Thompson? Because I don't know anything about him.
Yeah, well, just talk about the movie. Don't talk about him. We're here to talk about the movie. So
what's the plot?
Was there a turning point in this movie? Like, where did it sort of take a turn for you?
I think I liked it up to a point, I guess, because it seemed pretty effective in what it was going for. It was a very anti-Nixon movie, as far as I could make out. Mm-hmm. It wanted to reference Hunter S Thompson's substance abuse issues a bit, but it didn't quite go all the way, I feel like, in the way at least that Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas does.
Yeah.
Have you seen that movie?
Yep.
Yeah. The plot, it doesn't really, it's hard to say the plot because there isn't much of a plot. It kind of just,
there's no plot.
Like any other movie around that time, it just kind of ploddles along until the movie's over. I can't even remember the start of it. That's right. He's in his cabin and he's trying to write something.
Yeah.
A machine starts beeping at him, and it seems like it's a machine that he would feed because he's a writer. Mm-hmm. He would feed some of his writing into, and then that would satisfy.
Probably a fax machine.
Is that what that was? Because I honestly didn't know what that machine was.
Or maybe a telex machine or something like that back in the day.
Yeah, right. And him in a drunken stupor gets angry at it for beeping. He tries to feed a newspaper through it.
Yeah.
That doesn't work. And so then he shoots it with a gun,
yeah.
which takes him 3 shots.
Yeah.
And then And then I think it flashes back. He's driving in a car with his lawyer, with his attorney, Laszlo.
Mm-hmm.
I forget his first name, but they just call him Laszlo.
Yeah, it's Peter Boyle.
Yeah. And he's trying to write down something that Laszlo's saying and drive at the same time.
Yeah.
So there's a comedic shot of him swerving all over the road.
Uh-huh.
And then from there, we kind of learn a bit about Laszlo. He seems to be they're all very anti-Nixon, as far as I can make out. Like, that's the main thing it keeps coming back to. Nixon is a prominent figure.
These guys are journalists at the time, and they're pseudo kind of journalists, and Nixon wasn't well liked, so that's what.
Yeah. I wrote down Hunter S. Thompson's catchphrase through the movie is just saying shit over and over again. That's his go-to.
That's what it was.
And I wrote down, what does he write and for who? That was a prevailing thing, is that they keep saying he's a writer, but it's not clear to me what he writes.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how to answer that one.
You've never read any of his writings?
Yeah, well, possibly. But so here's the thing. Would you like to know why I asked you to watch that movie?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, let me ask you why you asked me to watch the horses movie. Oh, you told me because it had horses in it, right? So this movie has intrigued me my whole life, and I'll tell you why. When I first watched it, quote unquote, must have been in my early 20s when I was, this is quite a long time ago. Mm. And I always remember this movie because it's the only movie that I have not been able to watch all the way through. Fell asleep. It was just so boring. I remember, when I was quite young and started watching this, I thought, I can't even finish this movie. I can't. It's so bad. I'm not even going to finish watching it. So I didn't finish watching it. So, and then since then, I've then gone back and watched it later on, but still had a hard time getting through it because I thought this is really a bad movie. It's really boring and slow and just couldn't get through it. But it's an intriguing movie because it's probably the only movie in Bill Murray's repertoire that's like this. Mm. And Bill Murray's kind of been popping up in my feeds lately. And I thought that's the one movie of his that kind of stands out. It's different from all the other ones that he's done.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's playing more of I said before, he's playing more of a character in it. But in all the movies he's in, he has a very dry wit, where he's playing himself, and he's a very dry person, but there's still jokes and everything. Like the lines he says, he says funny things. In this one, he doesn't really say anything funny. It's just kind of a lot of mumbling, which doesn't connect a lot. Sometimes there's lines that stand out. At one point, Laszlo is talking to somebody about Hunter S. Thompson, and he says, he's an excellent bone man. He specializes in gunshot wounds. Why does he say that? That line comes out of nowhere and it never comes back to it.
Maybe we can get some of our viewers or watchers to send us a comment. Where does that line come from? Yeah, I mean, when you proposed this idea of watching movies and then talking about them afterwards, I was kind of relying on you to tell me more about what was going on in this movie because I've just remember it being so weird that I really didn't absorb it. But
yeah, I was trying to kind of figure, because in my head, I figured you wanted me to watch it because it's one of your favorites. So you're to tell me it's a movie you struggle to get through.
I still struggle with it. I still struggle with, I'm not sure I would watch it again.
No. Well.
But I did get you to watch it. Now I can ask you questions.
It struggles with the plot because it almost like it assumes you know who Hunter S. Thompson is. It assumes that you know his writings and what he's about and like what his beliefs on Nixon are. Because again, Nixon comes up a lot in this movie, and so you figure, he doesn't like Nixon, or maybe he was a fan. It's hard to say. Yeah. But they just keep bringing him up, expecting you to know why.
And what did you think of the ending of the movie? Tell us a little bit about the ending.
I thought the ending was terrible. I feel like it just feels like a movie that struggled to find an end. It seems like a movie that spawned from Bill Murray saying, hey, I can impersonate Hunter S. Thompson pretty good. And they're like, all right, well, let's make a movie about it. Mm-hmm. And then they were making the movie and went, shit, how do we end this?
Yeah. And how did it end?
Well, it ends with they're on two planes. One is for the higher end publicists. And then the other plane is labeled Zoo for the hippies. Why are they shipping hippies at the same time as publicists? I don't know. They never say where they're going or why. But Hunter S. Thompson gets kicked off of the publicist plane because he's the way he is and gets put on the zoo plane. They then go to a building. They don't say what the building is. I guess you're meant to assume it's the White House. I guess. Mm-hmm. You see Hunter S. Thompson go in the bathroom. And then Nixon enters the bathroom and is, for some reason, really struggling to pee. I didn't understand that. He's seen urinating in deep pain. And then he has a long conversation with Nixon. He said, in this world, you're either screwed or a doomhead. Mm-hmm. You're either screwed or a screwhead, something like that. Which is this long rambling thing. It doesn't seem to make any sense. It's not funny, and you can't take any meaning out of what he's saying. Uh-huh. And then Nixon turns to Hunter S. Thompson and says, "Screw the doomed." And then that's the end of the scene. They're getting back on the plane, and Laszlo comes out and tries to offer Hunter to come to his land of paradise. And there's a lot of back and forth about it. Hunter doesn't want to go because he's like, this is nonsense and you're just a weird gun-toting guy. I guess then he decides to go. But on the end of the movie is him theoretically in a cabin in that paradise.
Yeah, so a lot of this movie could be taken as him hallucinating these things, him actually dreaming these things happen, because most of his life was in a drug-induced stupor. Right? So I think the movie is intended to be, this is probably what Hunter S. Thompson was seeing in his mind, but maybe not what was actually happening. I don't think he actually talked to Nixon.
No.
But it might be worth researching to find out what the actual events were, because that would be quite interesting.
Because I think somebody in the movie said that they theorized that Laszlo doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It's just more of a figment of what happens to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there's the whole scene in the hotel. I thought that scene was all right. It's just kind of, every scene is just kind of Hunter going somewhere, completely destroying the place, or staining a carpet, or being disgusting, and then leaving. Mm-hmm. I thought that scene was interesting at the very least, because he was on the phone to his publicist, who for me sounds exactly like Joe Pesci.
Okay.
Despite not being Joe Pesci.
Uh-huh.
And he's trying to have a conversation with him while he passes a football back and forth with one of the bellboys. Yeah. And then you see it go from there with them. They're playing football inside the apartment. I thought that scene was pretty fun. It was all right.
That was kind of like a Bill Murray scene.
Yeah, that's kind of what it felt like. It was close to that anyway. I wrote down, this is a mumbling, rambling movie. Something I put in my notes. Uh-huh. The movie sometimes moves on from one scene that clearly had more. It feels like sometimes scenes just end.
Oh, that's a deep analysis. Okay.
There's okay, oh, where's this going to go? Oh, that scene's done. Yeah. It happens a few times. They hired Thompson to go to a sports game, and I wrote down, knowing Thompson, why would his publicist send him to a sports game?
That was his job.
But they know who he is. They know that he barely does what they tell him to do. Why would they tell him to go to the Super Bowl?
Because he's a journalist and he's supposed to go and cover these stories, I guess.
Seems like poor work on the publicist.
Probably.
Yeah. I wrote, the amount of mess he makes me feel uncomfortable. Why does he pour alcohol right into a grapefruit he clearly just freshly stabbed? He stabs it.
He's Hunter S. Thompson. Nothing he does makes sense.
It's just, you see him, he gets on a plane, opens a grapefruit with a big knife. Mm-hmm. He then stabs a hole through it. And then he's trying to pour alcohol in it and then drink it. And he's just getting liquid everywhere. In my mind, logically, I know this is a movie, but my primal instinct is oh, this is awful. This is so uncomfortable.
I knew it would be a good one for you to watch.
Mystery. Have you seen any interviews of Bill Murray talking about this movie at all?
Not that I can recall. No, maybe we should look for that.
Yeah, maybe he blocks them out. It's a movie he blocks out. Just where was this in his career? Was this before or after Groundhog Day?
Oh, this is well before Groundhog Day.
Was it after Caddyshack?
Yes, I think so.
Right. Because that's another one where he plays a character.
In Caddyshack?
Yeah.
What do you mean he plays a character?
He plays the...
It's Carl. He's Carl, but he's Bill Murray in Caddyshack.
Well, he plays a bit of a slow man in Caddyshack. He plays a bit of a dumber version of himself, I guess. Because in Groundhog Day, he's just playing Bill Murray.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. What would you rate this movie?
I'd give it a 6.
A 6?
Yes.
Really? You think this is better than Horse Sense?
Oh, by a mile.
Wow. That's astounding.
Well, it's better acting, better characters. It's a real story. You can do some research on it and find out Hunter S. Thompson's life if you want to, and figure out about Nixon and all that stuff. Mm. So if you really, really wanted to follow the storyline, you could figure it out.
Sure, but it's a movie without a plot. Nothing happens in it.
Well, it's what happened in Hunter S Thompson's life. That's, you could find it interesting or not. It's up to you.
I guess so. I would give this like a 3 or a 4.
Wow.
I think it's a movie that struggles to find its through line.
Yeah.
It feels like Laszlo appears just to say, see, this movie has a plot. See, we know.
Okay, well, there you go. There's
our
2 opposite end ratings. I think we chose good movies for each other.
Yes. Next year we'll have to try and find better movies to talk about, maybe.
Yeah.
It's more interesting to talk about bad or, worse movies. I think there's more to say about them.
Yeah, look, neither of these movies were good, let's be honest.
No,
they're both not terrible movies.
Well, Horse Sense isn't terrible. It's bad. I wouldn't say it's terrible.
I would say it's terrible.
I would say Where the Buffaloes Roam is terrible.
Yeah, it's not a good movie.
All right.
But what's the fun in watching good movies and talking about them? They're already good movies. What do we need to talk about them for?
Yeah, that was my thought. I thought if I just picked a good movie for you to watch, we'd sit here and just say, yeah, it was good, and then that'd be the episode. So anyway, this has been the Bruce and Reilly movie hour for our April Fool episode. So it's probably the only time we'll do this.
I think so.
Yeah, next year.
Unless we get requests. If any of you really enjoyed this little review session, give us a comment, give us a thumbs up, and maybe suggest a movie we could review.
Yeah, that would be good, actually. Yeah.
That's the end of this one. Have a good day. Peace out.
Peace out.